Okay, we're recording now.
Hello, my name is Baek Hong Ji. I am 95 years old. I live in a retirement home called Clairwood in Houston, Texas. Anything else that you want me to say?
No, that was good.
I'm being interviewed by two students from Rice. I'm waiting for them to tell me what else to do.
I think we're ready to begin.
Yeah, okay, so I'm Sarah Davis,
My name's Taylor Ginter.
and we're here on April 12th with Mr. Baek Gi, interviewing him for the Houston Asian American Archive. So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about where you were born and your childhood?
I was born in China in a small village in 1922. And at the age of 9, in 1931, I came to the United States, and I have been here ever since. I made one trip back to China in 1987 after I retired, but I did not go back to my birthplace because I was afraid of getting sick by drinking the water. So what? So what else am I supposed to talk about now? Okay, let's see now. I arrived in San Francisco after about 23 days on the ship coming from Hong Kong to San Francisco. I spent about 30 days on Angel Island alone at the age of 9 until I had passed all the questioning and been allowed to come on to the mainland. And I stayed in San Francisco for a few weeks, and I ended up joining my grandparents in Algiers, Louisiana, which is across the river from New Orleans. And I started school there, and a couple of years later, in 1934, I moved to Mississippi, where my schooling stopped because Mississippi had a law that prohibited Chinese children from going to school, to a white public school. And I worked from the age of 13 until I was 20 years old when I got drafted into World War II. And I trained for a year in the United States, and I spent 10 months in England, and I spent 12 months in France and about 4 months in Germany before I came home to be discharged. During the 10 months I was in England, I met a girl who would become my wife for the next 62 years. She joined me in 1946, sometime in summer, about June, and she decided to make Houston my home. So she joined me in Houston, and she lived here all her life until she died at the age of 79. We live in the southwest part of Houston. Okay, just stop right there for I think I didn't know what else to say.
Okay. So when you came to the United States,
Sorry?
when you came over to the United States from China, did your whole family come with you?
No, I came alone. I came with my brother,
Your brother?
a paper brother.
Okay.
You probably know that a lot of Chinese arrive in this country as paper son. So we won't go into that because I got all my papers corrected, so I'm okay.
Okay.
And anyway, I've been retired for 30 years now, and my son, my wife and I didn't have any children because we had an adopted son, but he died very young. So he and my wife are buried in Forest Park, Westheimer, and that's where I will eventually be. I'm 95. Well, see, what else did I need to say?
So why did you come to America when your family stayed in China?
Well, conditions in China back in the 30s were not very good. We have no way of making a living. And my grandparents thought it was a good idea for me to come here very young and get educated. But as it turned out, I ended up in a place where I couldn't go to school. So I made my living in Houston as a commercial artist, and I retired at the age of 35, and I've been retired for 30 years. So I'm now just waiting for my time to come.
So are you the oldest are you the oldest one out of
I'm
all
the,
your
I'm
siblings?
the oldest of 3 sons
Okay.
and 2 daughters.
Okay.
My family, they are in Canada. I'm the only one in the United States.
Okay.
Did you speak English when you came over?
I didn't speak any English at all, and it took me about a year before I could start holding a conversation. I was learning English one word at a time, and it's kind of difficult to talk to somebody one word at a time.
Did your grandparents speak English? Because they lived in
My grandmother,
California?
I lived with my grandfather and grandmother, and he didn't speak too well, and she hardly spoke at all. They had a hand laundry
Okay.
in Algiers.
So you lived in California with your grandparents before you moved to
I didn't live in
Mississippi?
California. I spent a month on Angel Island.
Okay.
Then I spent about 4 or 5 weeks in San Francisco waiting for someone to bring me to New Orleans on the train.
Oh, okay.
And so I lived in New Orleans for a while, and then I lived in Mississippi. And then after World War II, I moved to Houston, and I've been here ever since.
Okay.
So, actually, my life is quite simple. So that's about. I have nothing exciting. My time in World War II was I didn't face any. I was in the Air Corps. I was a photographer, and I didn't see any action in actual war. I was not in. I was close to the invasion when we invaded France, but since I was in the Air Corps, I didn't have to be on the ground getting shot at. And after we took back France, I transferred from England to France, and I stayed in France for 12 months. Then after Germany surrendered, I was sent to Germany to do my last job before I came home. I was actually getting ready to go to Japan when they dropped the 2 bombs. And when they dropped the bombs, the war ended in Japan, so I didn't have to go there, but I had to go to Germany. And my last job in Germany was in the preparation for what we expected to be another war, World War III with Russia. But I got sent home, I got discharged, and I moved to Houston, and that's what my life is right now.
So you said that you weren't in school for very long, but when you were in school, what do you remember about it?
When I first arrived in Algiers, my family decided to put me in school, even though I didn't speak any English at all. It's sort of like a sink or swim type of thing. You know? And I spent 2 weeks in the first grade at the age of 9, and that young teacher kept me in her class for 2 weeks and gave up. But the third grade teacher in the same school kind of took pity on me, and she decided that to give me her private attention. She taught the third grade. She took me into her class and gave me all of her personal attention, and she guided me through that year, and I managed to pass the third grade. In fact, I did well enough. I learned enough English that first year, so where the school thought they could skip the 4th grade for me and put me in the 5th grade. But my family told me not to do that, so I didn't. So I spent 1 year in the 3rd grade, 1 year in the 4th grade, 1 year in the 5th grade, and I made the 6th and 7th grade in 1 year. I passed the 7th grade in 1 month. But then they stopped me from going to school because I was Chinese. And so I didn't go to school anymore until I worked in the grocery store from the age of 13 until I was 20. And when I turned 20, I got drafted into World War II. And I've spent my war time in Europe. And when I came home after the war was over in 1946, I decided to come to Houston to live. I got married in England during the 10 months I was in England. And I went to the University of Houston, passed my GED, and got my permission to go for a degree. And I earned a Bachelor of Arts degree, and I used that degree to make my living with for the next 31 years. And I retired at the age of 65, and I've been retired for 30 years, and here's where I am today.
Why did you work in a grocery store?
I grew up in a grocery store. That's the only thing I know. I learned how to be a butcher.
A butcher?
To this day, I can take half of a pig or half of a cow and cut it all up into steaks and roasts.
Were there many other Chinese grocery stores at the time?
In Mississippi, there were 2 grocery stores. There's two Chinese grocery stores, that is. It's a small town that at the time officially it had 3,600 people. But Mississippi had a law that did not permit Chinese children to go to school. So I was not able to go to school after I turned 13 years old. So I had to pass the GED in order to get into college.
So in the store, did you sell mostly American food because you were selling to American?
Our customers were mostly black people
Okay.
in Mississippi. Yeah, I think most of the Chinese stores in Mississippi, they cater to black customers.
Okay. Were there any black students in your school that also faced the same kinds of discrimination?
I don't know if the Chinese children were allowed to go to black school, but no Chinese family sent the children to black schools because black school was so inferior that it was not worth going to.
Okay.
Well, this is being said. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. But this is the way I feel about it. Is there anything else you have? I told you.
So when you were growing up in Mississippi, were most of your friends other Chinese kids, or were they?
I was the
black?
only one in my little town.
Oh, the only one?
Later on, there were more. But after I left to go to World War II, there were other children.
Okay.
But not long after the war was over, the segregation was become illegal into blacks and whites, or both. I mean, blacks and Chinese were allowed to go to school. And that's the minister.
So after you came back from the war, you said you were self-employed doing illustration.
The first 9 years after I came home from the war in Houston, I had a grocery store.
Oh, you opened one in Houston?
I operated my own grocery store
Okay.
before I got my degree. And then I sold my store and went to work.
Okay.
And my wife, she decided to go to work also, so we both worked.
Okay. So what neighborhood in Houston did you open your grocery store in?
I'm sorry?
What neighborhood in Houston did you open up your grocery store in?
I bought a grocery store.
Oh, you bought one?
Yeah.
Oh, so what neighborhood was it in?
I'm sorry?
What neighborhood was it in?
It's in the Heights, Houston Heights.
Okay. So who are your main clients there?
It was in a white area.
In the white area? So then after you got your GE, or after you went to college,
Got my degree. I went to work for, my first job was a saccharist. It's stated in my paper.
okay. And
What I did would be used as advertising in the local newspapers. Every several times each week, my work would be shown in the ads for Cyclewitz at the time. And later, as I became better known and my work became more acceptable, I was working for several other stores besides. I was working at a store, but I was doing work at home for the other stores. I was freelancing. And I did that for 31 years before I retired.
Was that mostly department stores or what type of
Yes,
stores?
they're all department stores. What we did would be used as ads in the newspapers. My work was printed in newspapers. Everything I did was printed in newspapers.
how did you first become interested in illustration and graphic design?
As far back as I can remember, the first time I picked up a pencil, I started drawing. It became, I thought that if I was going to go to work for a living, what would I want to do? I said, well, I think it'd be nice to do something you enjoy doing and get paid for it. I felt like that's what I did.
But you taught yourself graphic design, right?
Well, I seem to have a natural feel for drawing, and I liked it. It was not work for me. That's what I said. If I'm going to work for a living, that would be a nice way to make a living. And I did that for 31 years.
Do you still draw?
Not since I retired. I did try watercolor painting for a while, but I don't have room now. I live in a small apartment here, and I feel like at my age, I don't have to feel guilty about being lazy.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how you met your wife?
I met my wife I arrived in England in November of 1943, and on New Year's Day, I was stationed in Manchester, England. And on New Year's Day, another Chinese soldier and I decided that New Year's Day would be a good time to go and find a good Chinese restaurant and have a good meal. So Liverpool was 1 hour's bus ride away. So he and I got on a bus and went to Liverpool, and we asked the bus driver to drop us off as close to Chinatown as possible, and he dropped us right in Chinatown. We went to the first restaurant. It was crowded. It didn't have room for us. We went to another restaurant, same thing, on New Year's Day. Everybody was eating out. It was crowded, so we walked out. We went to the third restaurant, packed. We started walking out, and the waiter came running after us. Said, "We got 2 people leaving." So we went back and sat at a little table for 2. And it so happens that I sat facing a large round table with 6 or 7 people. And when I look up, there was a young woman, who was staring at each other. And as I was eating and she was eating, we looked up, we keep staring at each other. So finally, she went to the front door for something, so I told my friend, I'll be right back. So I walked over to the front door and introduced myself and got out my little black book. Anyway, I asked her if we could get to know each other or whatever I said. I don't know what I said. Anyway, she said, "You come back and meet my mother." And what she said, that was her mother at the table. So she said, told her mother, and as much she asked me what my name was, and I couldn't tell her my real name because we had been advised not to get involved with the local people. So I didn't know what to do. We just call me Johnny Doughboy. And she just came up with a name because I didn't think anything's going to come of it. So anyway, her mother was a little bit indignant that I would cost her daughter that. But then she softened. She said, you can come home, meet her father, and then ask him. So, what am I going to lose? So, okay, so I told my friends, I'll see you back at camp. So I followed them home. I met the father. And by that time, the time had passed, it was evening time, was dinner time. They were having dinner, so they invited me to stay for dinner. And after dinner was, the buses stopped running. So it was blackout time, wartime. The buses quit running when they had their lights, because no cars can run with lights. So I had to end up spending the night at the English Red Cross type of for soldiers. So I spent the night there. In the meantime, my pass is, I was able, my pass is only good till midnight. And I was spending the night out. So I spent the night there, and the next morning I found my way back to the house, and I started asking if I could come back again, and they just, so I keep going back, and in July of that summer, she and I got married. We were supposed to get married the same week as D-Day, but I didn't know that D-Day was going to happen on June the 6th. We were scheduled to get married on June the 10th, because nobody was able to leave the base because we were invading France. So we postponed our wedding till July the 29th. So we got married, and we got married, and we stayed married until she died at age 79. We were married for 62 years.
Wow.
We never had any children, but we really wanted to adopt a son.
So she's English then? She's English, your wife?
Her mother was English, and her father was Chinese.
Okay. So after you got married, did you celebrate a lot of Chinese holidays?
After about 2 months after we got married, my squadron got sent to France from England. But during the 12 months I was stationed in France, I managed to fly back to England about 9 times. We had a courier plane going from my base to London every day. So my officers were kind enough, knowing that I have a wife in England, they would send me to London on any kind of excuse. So during that time I was in France, I managed to get back to England 9 different times. And then I would get on a train in London, go up to Liverpool. So 250 miles. So we got to see each other. So, and then after I got home after the war was over, I got discharged in January, and she arrived here in June the same year. So this is the only home that she ever known, Houston.
What was her name?
Joyce, Joyce.
Joyce.
See if I can find a picture. That's my wife and son.
Oh, wow.
This is not too long before he died. This is when we were in England. This is me in uniform. This is when we first got married. This is her in Houston. This was taken in England.
Why is she dressed up in this picture? Why is she dressed up?
We were going to a banquet.
A banquet?
We were going to the Shamrock Hotel. You ever heard of the Shamrock? It's torn down now.
No.
It's only in the South Main. And this was taken in England. I was in uniform. That's how what she looked like when we first got married. I was 22, she was 17.
Wow. That's amazing. When you first moved to Houston, what was the Asian American...
I'm sorry?
When you first came to Houston, was there a big Chinese population?
There weren't a whole lot of Chinese people. There were a lot of G's here.
A lot of G's?
Yeah. In fact, one of the reasons I came to Houston because there was a lot of G's here.
How have you seen the Asian population in Houston change over time?
Yes, well, because the population increased a great deal with the Vietnamese people coming here. So, but then again, when I came to Houston after the war, I think we only had about 400,000 people. Now we got 4 million.
Wow.
We're number 4 in the whole country now. So,
When you came to Houston, did you face any discrimination here?
I'm sorry?
Did you face any discrimination when you came to Houston?
Not too obvious. Not like in Mississippi. The people themselves in Mississippi were not bad. It's just the laws. But I think it had to do with Chinese people. I think there was a Chinese man that had children with a black woman, and he wanted to send his children to a white school, and so that he threatened some kind of lawsuit, or maybe, I don't know. So anyway, there's something to do with that. From my opinion, the people of Mississippi, my contacts with them have always been pleasant. It was not their fault that the laws were that way. So I feel like I don't know what my life would have been like if I had gotten a regular education. I don't think I would have been an artist, because I know that being an artist is not that easy to make a living. I might have been some kind of engineer or something if I managed to get the skills. But I took art because it was an easy degree, especially for someone who likes to draw.
Did you and your wife try to raise your son with Asian traditions and cultures?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
When you and your wife had your son, or adopted your son,
Yeah, he came from Kowloon.
Okay. Did you both try to raise him with Asian cultures and Asian traditions?
Let's talk a little slower.
Oh, sorry. Did you and your wife raise your son with Asian values or traditions?
Some.
Some.
He graduated from UH with a business degree. So we got him when he's about a year and a half old, and he died a month before his 28th birthday. The picture you saw, that was about a year or two before he died. He finished college. Had a good job, and he got sick.
What year did the rest of your family leave China?
What year? What?
What year did the rest of your family leave China?
I don't have any idea.
Oh, you don't know? Okay. Do you still keep in contact with your younger siblings?
And so what?
Do you still keep in contact with your younger siblings?
Do I keep contact with my relatives?
Your siblings, yeah.
Right now, I'm keeping contact through email,
Okay.
and I also see some of them on Facebook. I don't write much anymore.
What was the hardest part of assimilating to American culture?
What is the hardest part of?
Assimilating to American culture?
I don't remember that I had any kind of a difficulty other than the bigotry I faced. My life in America has been mostly pleasant, and I truly feel that if I had not come to America, I would not be living today. Longevity in China at the time I was born I believe it was below 50 for men. So today in America, men are 84 average, and I think even in China it's above. It's not as good as ours, but it's better than it was back in the 1930s. Back in those days, China had no industry, and there was very few jobs. And my father had to leave the country to find work, and the people that were doing well in our villages were living in America and Canada. My blood relatives are in Vancouver, in Edmonton, Canada. My sisters and brother, my two sisters have passed on, but my two brothers still alive in Canada.
What school did you go to for college?
For what?
College?
My degree came from a private school,
A private school?
and I went to the university for 1 of the 4 years.
Okay.
It's a 4-year degree, 3 years from a private school, 1 year from the University of Houston.
Okay.
I didn't get my degree from the university because they only offer a Bachelor of Fine Arts. I didn't want a Bachelor of Fine Arts. I got it's a BAA, it's a Bachelor of Applied Arts.
Okay.
That's commercial art. And the reason I went for a degree is that if I wanted to teach, I had to have a degree. But I never taught, but no. The GI Bill paid for everything.
So while you were getting your degree, were you also working at the same time?
Yes, I have. We were running a grocery store,
Running the store.
and when I was in school, my wife was taking care of the store.
Okay.
We ran the store for 9 years before we sold it to someone else. We decided that since we didn't have any children, a grocery store was too confining, long hours and no vacation.
Right.
So that's why we decided to go to work. And that's when I said, if I'm going to work, I want to do something I enjoy doing. So I guess I did okay. It didn't pay too well, but I had all the money I need anyway. So.
What did your wife do after you sold the
She
store?
took a beauty course and became a beautician because she had an aunt in England who owned a beauty shop, and she thought it was so nice to see her aunt make women beautiful.
Can you talk about the Key Family Association?
I used to participate more than I am now. I'm not as active because of my age, so I attend the banquets and things like that, but I'm not as active in anything. Like I say, I'm being very lazy these days.
What do you enjoy doing these days?
Eating.
Eating? Chinese food or?
That's why I live so close to Chinatown. That's one of my cousins.
One of your
She's
cousins?
married to a G.
Oh, okay.
She lives here. That's my friend Dorothy and Daniel. They were supposed to come here to do this,
Oh, really?
but they were a little late. They both retired. She's a school teacher, retired.
Okay.
Are we finished? We're pretty much.
Let's see.
Do you identify as more Asian or more American?
I think in English.
You think in
What
English?
little thinking I'm still doing. I speak English better than Chinese.
Okay.
But, I didn't start speaking English until I was 10 years old. But I think I taught during the years from 13 until I was 20, when I wasn't going to school, I was doing a lot of reading. So I think how I talk and how I write was because of what I was reading. I think I wrote the way that magazines and books. I write letters the way I learned from reading books and magazines.
In English?
And I don't read Chinese.
Okay.
I went to school 2 years in China, but I've forgotten everything. I can't write my own name anymore.
So you don't speak Chinese with anyone now?
I do with my cousin over there because she doesn't speak English too well.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Chinese people that I come in contact with, if they're not fluent in English, I speak to them in Toisan. But the ones that speak English well, we speak English. I prefer that. I can express myself better in English than in Chinese. You know, my Chinese was when I was a child. You know, I didn't go to school long enough to know any of the big words, and I don't have anybody to practice with now. Our son never did learn Chinese because my wife didn't speak Chinese.
How she did
Her,
it?
her father was Chinese, but she said the only Chinese words she learned were the bad words.
So when you were active with the G Family Association, what were you doing?
I was president 1 year of the association. I donated money and set up a scholarship into a scholarship fund in the name of my wife, me, and my son.
What was your son's name?
Stephen, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, Stephen Albert G. He and my wife are buried in Forest Park, West Island.
So why did your family start the G Family Association?
Oh no, I don't know anything about that.
You don't? Okay.
That's before my time even.
Oh, okay.
Besides the G Family Association, what other things were you involved with?
The American citizens, Chinese American citizens, one called the CACA.
Okay.
And also, there's an organization in the city called Chinese Professional Club, CPC. I'm a charter member of that. We started that at University of Houston,
Okay.
but I'm no longer a member. I'm a past president of that too. But that organization went through 3 different name changes. It was called the CIA to begin with. It was the Chinese Intercollegiate Association, and it was only for students. And then became after we decided CIA was conflicting with another CIA. So we changed it to CUC, Chinese University Club. But then after 4 years, all those members graduated and they couldn't be members anymore. So we changed the name again to Chinese Professional Club so everybody can stay in. And that's what, and that was what is known, and it's been, we started that in 1952 or something like that. And I'm still a charter. I'm one of the few members that are still alive that are charter members. Not many of us now. I'm 95, so it's just like World War II. There's not many left over from World War II now.
Do you have any other questions?
So your family doesn't still own any?
I'm sorry?
Does your family still own any supermarkets?
No,
No?
I don't have any property at all. I have a trust for everything now.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I can't think of anything.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
I'm sorry?
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Oh, it's just good for me to kind of, at my age, I live in the past. So what I'm doing, so it kind of refreshes my memory somewhat. Maybe it helped me to keep my memory alive.
Definitely.
I feel lucky, that so many people my age can't remember things like as much as I'm remembering.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.